Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you again for tuning into the Diaspora panel. My name is Olaya, and I'm based in Dublin, the Republic of Ireland. I have with me today Mr. Lawal, who is based in Canada. Mr. Lawal, you are welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We are expecting two of our colleagues. We are expecting Mr. Olatunde, who will join us as soon as possible. We also have a guest, Mr. Demola Disa, who may join us during the episode. So today, we want again to talk about the 2023 presidential elections, which seems to be the main thing in Nigeria right now. But before we go into that, let me advise for all our viewers that this is the Diaspora panel. We are the voice of the diaspora. And I want to advise that you subscribe to this channel so that anytime we do a new video, you'll be one of the first people to be contacted so that you can watch our videos as soon as we put them out. To subscribe, just go to youtube.com/diaspora panel, or you can go to www.diasporapanel.com. If you want to contact us, please send your email to info@diasporapanel.com. So, Mr. Lawal, the first question I want to ask you is very simple. If you look at the field now, you find out that there's a lot of aspirants, people who have declared their intention to contest the presidential election for 2023. Now, there has been a few statements put out by some people from the north, from some northern leaders. For example, Atiku Abubakar, who was the former vice president of Nigeria, says that the north has not completed its term yet, that the north still have one term to go. And he is saying that I want to contest so that I can use those 4 years, and I'm going to be there for only 4 years. Apart from that, there's another man, the governor of Bauchi State, came out over the weekend to say, yeah, we still have 4 more years. The North has to spend 4 more years because the North has been there for 16 years. In fact, he actually said that the last president of PDP from PDP party, the last 2 presidents are that they've spent the president who spent 16 years are PDP presidents, and they are all from the South. So, and there's only 2 years so that rotation does not actually speak for PDP. So if leaders in the North are saying things like this, what do you think they are trying to do?
Well, let me start first and foremost by saying that that argument is incredibly weak. And quite honestly, and I apologize if anyone is offended by this language, but it lacks logical reasoning. I mean, we are in the 2nd term of a Buhari presidency, and Buhari would have ruled by the end of his term for 8 years.
8 good years, yes.
He was originally elected in 2015 and re-elected again in 2019. So what more else do you want? That's a northern presidency. So I don't understand, that line of argument. And likely, if I'm not the only one who has heard that and doesn't really couldn't quite make any sense of it. I know a lot of other people that I've spoken to who couldn't make a sense of it either. And if a lot of people can't make any sense of it, it's because it just doesn't hold water. So I think even within the PDP, there are people speaking publicly that the presidency, should go to the South. Actually, very, very openly about it. And I think if northern leaders within the PDP will listen to their own people, I think they may stand a chance. Atiku Abubakar contested against President Buhari. He was vice president. He contested against President Buhari in the last election, and he lost.
Yeah.
What else does he want? I mean, I think this is short of greed in only wanting his own ambitions, irrespective of what Nigerians want and what is even in the best interest of his political party. I mean, even leave Nigeria, what is in the best interest of his own political party? He doesn't seem to be capable of listening to his own people and conducting himself in a manner that will keep the party's interest. So should we even entrust a whole nation to someone of that nature if he cannot even coalesce, his own party, and as an elder statesman, do things that would help his party win? So this is my take on it. I think the argument doesn't hold water. It lacks logical reasoning. It's born, as far as I'm concerned, out of a greed of a sense of entitlement and some form of greed that he just wants to be president at all costs. So that's my take. And I know that a lot of people within the PDP have also spoken out that if the PDP chooses another candidate, they will openly support an APC Southern presidential aspirant candidate. And that would be unfortunate for PDP if that ever happens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawa. Now, so far, when you look at the list of aspirants who have declared, we have from the APC, we have Bola Tinubu, we have Yaya Bello. People are expecting Professor Yemi Osinbajo to declare. He has not declared yet. We have David Umahi. We have former Governor Kalu. We have former Governor Rocha Okorocha, yes. And then from the PDP, we have Peter Obi, who is expected to declare, has not declared yet. Those who have declared are Maxi Ohabunwa, Anyim Payos Anyim. I understand that over the weekend that Bukola Saraki has thrown his hat into the ring. I'm not very sure. We know that Abubakar Atiku is skimming behind, to emerge. Tambuwa also, his name is being mentioned. And we have Dele Momodu, who was declared. Now, and there's Kingsley Mohalu, who is not in the two major parties, but he too is, I think he has declared that he wants to contest under one party. I'm not sure the name of the party. When you look at the list of these names, is this the best Nigeria can offer?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think, if you look at that list that you just, mentioned of, it's a mixed match of, different types of candidates. Some obviously are known political entities. They've been in politics for a long time and surely come with a lot of questions and a lot of baggage. Some, are running pretty much on their track record, which is not much to write home about. I think, generally speaking, I would say any northern candidate who is running is really running for president. They're running to be considered, for a VP pick. Is my take on it. And I think APC kind of agrees that after an 8-year Buhari presidency, it is time for it to swing back to the south. Now, whether it is the southwest or the southeast, I guess is the question. And I think that would be something that the party will do. PDP doesn't really answer that question. But if you look at the caliber of candidates, I would say it's very good that we still have candidates like Kingsley Mohalu still coming out, because these are people, when you listen to them, they have ideas, they have a vision. They're young, they have a track record, in terms of what they've done, at least so far in Nigeria. Candidates like Abubakar Atiku don't have a good record, don't really there's a lot of questions, if I can kind of put it that way. I mean, at some point in time, I think, all of these candidates will have done one good thing or the other, but, they also come with a lot of unanswered questions, lots of baggages. And I think Nigeria is ready to turn a new leaf from the old brigade, if I can kind of, call it that, to a much younger, aspirational, visionary, healthy leader that Nigerians can relate to in their everyday to-day living. So I think people like maybe Dele Momodu, Kingsley Mohalu, Yemi Osinbajo, obviously because he's vice president now, Peter Obi kind of fit that model. Anyim, I think, could probably potentially be borderline. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Bukola
if you give me one moment, I was just going to come to that because I'm looking at the names. I'm looking at Asiwaju Tinubu, who has a lot of questions to answer, about his past, about his origin, about his age, about Alpha Beta, and he has been arranged by the EFCC before. Number one. We look at somebody like Yaya Bello, who is owing the salary, workers in the state. He's owing salaries there. He has not paid salary for months, but he has money to campaign for election. The last election that was done in Kogi State, he put an helicopter up in the air and was shooting into polling booths. That's how he won his election. He too is in the fray. We have somebody like David Umahi, who I understand is a very good governor, but is jumping from PDP to APC just to come and contest election. I don't think that speaks well for credibility. If you are in PDP.
Actually, if I can challenge you on that, yes. I actually think it doesn't speak well of the PDP. Because again, if you have a candidate, a governor who is doing well, I think from all accounts, and who seems to have support, why can't you put him on the party platform to contest? I mean, I think every political party actually should aspire to put very good candidates forward.
Yeah, but I don't think Umahi actually waited for the contest to begin before he jumped, because I think maybe somebody promised him that they will make him a presidential candidate. But let me just conclude my argument.
So actually, on that thinking, I don't think so, because these are party faithfuls, and they talk behind the scenes. And they know what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
for him to have actually kind of jumped, it means he likely may have looked at his chances, especially now that we see that Atiku is actually forcefully, greedily pushing forward, another Atiku presidential run. So, I mean, people may not be talking publicly, but a lot of these politicians within the party, they speak behind closed doors. And, he's probably looked at the optics and, he's not going to stand for it.
But how would somebody wants to go and benefit from something you have not, you want to raise from where you have not sown? I mean, somebody put APC together, they did all the job, they did everything, put it in place while you were in the PDP. Then at the last minute, you want to jump and come and become president there when you have not added anything to that party.
Well, so I see that actually very differently, because again, this is somebody who has looked at the landscape. And if the APC is willing to, bring him in and allow him to run, I think as a political party, that actually speaks volumes for APC. They are not looking at it that he has not been a part of the party for a long time. They are not looking at it that, somebody else, put the party machinery together. They are looking at him as a candidate, as what, he has to offer and what he can do for Nigeria. That, I think, speaks volumes to the credibility of APC as a party.
Of APC itself, yeah. Well, anyway.
And bring good candidates, to contest in the elections.
I understand they were actually, at some point, they were actually lobbying the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, to come and become a presidential candidate. What does that speak about leadership in the APC?
We have to understand that the Nigerian political landscape is still evolving. And personally, one issue I have is even within the two main political parties, APC and PDP, I'm still trying to figure out the political ideology of those two parties. Because when you look at the parties, it's largely based on people. Yeah. And when you look at a lot of these people who, put the party machinery together and organize the parties, they don't have very clear, political ideologies or philosophies. So, and I think that mostly comes down to even how candidates are recruited. If you look at modern day, Republican and Democratic parties, for example, those parties stand for something. They have an ideology. And by so doing, they are likely to attract, people who share that same philosophy and ideology with them. Now, people may be on different spectrums within that same political ideology. Some may be, more to the extreme. Some may be moderate. Some, not as much. But people who are in the party have that affiliation because the political ideology and the philosophy of the party aligns with their own core values. We are yet to get there. If you ask any APC candidate, for example, what is their ideology? What do they believe in? Most of them will struggle to tell you exactly what their party stands for. So that is a challenge, I think. And until we allow people who actually have ideologies to come to the discussion, where we can now begin to evaluate their ideology and evaluate their vision, then Nigerians can begin to choose, okay, I think this will work, or I think my values more closely aligns with this.
Okay.
And that
let me pick you up on that. So after Umahi, we have Kalu, who was quizzed by the EFCC. He was actually sentenced to prison, and he was in prison, but it was brought out of technicalities, not that he wasn't guilty. He too is in the fray. We have Rochas Okorocha, who we know was the former governor of Imo State. He could not rule one state successfully. There was a lot of fights. He wanted to make his son-in-law the next governor. He took government lands, and then there was an issue about one university that there's so much mess. He too is in the fray. We have Peter Obi, who we know is was a very good banker in those days. But we know about the something files, the Pandora box that came out. His name was one of them. And we have Bukola Saraki, also in the APC, and Atiku Abubakar. These are men that are very well known for corruption, openly, very well known for corruption. So when you look at this caliber of this kind of people, what does that say about the PDP? And they are still recycling these people.
Yeah. You see, this is the reason why I honestly believe that direct primaries is needed in Nigeria. Because a lot of these people, Nigeria seems to be the only country where people brazenly, people who have done, really bad things in the past, weren't really held accountable, can still come back and say they still want to contest. The likes of Kalu, Rochas Okorocha, and all of them, with all of the skeletons they have in their cupboards, still, have this sense of impunity that, they can still come back and still contest. And what are they going to do? We know what we got from them, when they were in positions where they had an opportunity to make a real difference. And they didn't. They only looked after their own pockets. They looked after their own interests. And they're still coming back, to get more. So this is the reason why I believe that direct primaries is the way to go. And unfortunately, in the current political party system, how it is operated in Nigeria, only people who have amassed wealth, mostly illegally, can make any impact within their political parties. To even register and be it costs quite a lot of money. All of this machinery and everything, that costs money. So that automatically disqualifies very credible and honest candidates because, every other Nigerian, they didn't steal, they, worked hard for their money, and, they don't have that money to throw around, but they have ideas and they have a vision that can actually move the country forward. So I understand that INEC's position is that political parties, as part of being the party, need to be able to organize direct primaries and fund it. I actually think if INEC can, as an investment in good governance, in good democratic governance, if INEC maybe for the next couple of years can actually provide financial support for candidates that may not be that wealthy and allow Nigerians to evaluate them through direct primaries from state to state, alongside all of these other candidates that come with a lot of packages. And if the good candidates win, then they can then begin to implement structures that will aid better governance in Nigeria. But without that, all we will keep getting is this same old farts, pretty much recycling themselves and perpetuating themselves in power.
Okay, so there's this much talk about an Igbo president, an Igbo presidency. Our Neze has been talking from the roof. A lot of Igbo leaders have been talking from the roof. It's our turn. We have been short-changed in Nigeria. We need to be president this time around, and we are very deadly serious this time around. But if you look now into all the people in the fray, if you look in the Southwest, we've had only one person who has declared so far, which is Atiku Abubakar. We are expecting that PYO will join the race, and there's a lot of public opinion is saying it needs to be there. So assuming that at some point in time he declares, we have only two. If you look in the South-South, there's only one person, Dili Mamadou. But if you look in the Southeast, who are clamoring for power, we have Kingsley Mohalu, Pius Ayim, Magzi Ohabunwa, Peter Obi, Rocha Sokorocha, Kalu, Umahi. That was seven of them. So if you have an election today and you have 7 Igbos, 1 Yoruba man, you understand? So do you not think that our brothers from the East, if they are really serious about leading this country, they should first of all come together and sort themselves out by having a meeting together and all of them agreeing on one person, say, this is the person that we are choosing to be our candidate. And then the rest of us can say, okay, you have chosen one person, you have shown leadership now, so we will now go and vote for this person. But it looks like they're in disarray. There's no leader. Everybody, like Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has come out. The entire Southwest is quiet because we have a leader there. You understand? Look at the North. Apart from Atiku, that you can see that is open, like that is a Fulani. You have not seen any other Fulani come out and say, I want to contest. There's leadership there. You understand? If you look in the middle belt, where you have Yahabe Loya, you have Bukola Saraki, you can see that not everybody is jumping out. But in the East, although we know they have a lot of good leaders, why are they? Can they all be president at the same time?
Well, let me start by saying that I, for one, I've always thought that pitching North-South is actually not in the interest of the South. Because when you look at the South, the South is actually much more diverse ethnically than the North. And every time this issue comes up, it's for me, I always see that as a way to pitch the Southwest against the Southeast. And now I think we can also honestly say the South-South is a formidable political force in Nigeria. So when the South, you invariably are pitching Southwest against Southeast against South-South. But I do agree that there needs to be some kind of a consensus around candidates. I don't think it's a bad thing that more candidates are coming out. I think over that process, the process once it plays out, will kind of separate the wheat from the chaff. I mean, that always happens. And some candidates, anyways, are probably not that serious. They know they're not going to get it, but, they want, to be considered for other top, potentially top roles, within government. So I would say let it all play out. My main concern is if you have a strong candidate from the Southeast and a strong candidate from the Southwest. And if the PDP is listening, what I would suggest is if probably APC ends up taking the candidate from the Southwest, I think what would be in the best interests of the PDP is probably to pick a candidate from the Southeast. So that way, you have at least, two candidates, obviously, qualified, visionary, have a platform, and can actually, convince Nigerians, and win Nigerians over to their idea and what they plan to do. That, I think, would be a likely outcome. But then, there is also this portion of it. Nigeria now has been broken into 6 geopolitical zones. And, to say the South, with the Southeast, Southwest, South, and then you have the Middle Belt, you have the Northeast, So, we ultimately need to move away from this concept of zoning to a time where we can actually evaluate candidates based on what they have to offer. We will have to start from somewhere. We're not there yet. I would say, this is a good, maybe not a good way, but this is our starting point. But my vision is a Nigeria where we actually evaluate candidates based on what they have to offer, based on their track record and their ideas, as compared to which zone of the country, which geopolitical zone they actually come from.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I want to look on the Southwest side now. I want us to talk just briefly about Southwest. I'm looking at an event that happened about 60 years ago when Awolowo and Akintola parted ways, and it became a big fight. I'm having a deja vu. This is an event one of the events that led to the collapse of the First Republic. And we knew what happened. The soldiers came, there was civil war, everything went bananas. So now we have an Asiwaju Tinubu who was declared. We have a PYO who is being spurred on to declare because of his antecedents, because of his quality. And on the side, we are hearing rumors, Kayode Fayemi also may be interested. We don't know whether Fashola is a very brilliant person. It's on one side. Maybe he's going to go, to throw himself into the fray. Alek Fashola is there as a minister. So, but right now, the two major things is between Asiwaju and Yemi Osinbajo. Do you not think this political family that has held the Southwest spellbound for the last 20 years, do you not think they need to go indoor, call a meeting, maybe with Pa Konde presiding over the meeting, and sorting themselves out, coming out with their best candidate and say, this is the man that we can all trust? Do you think that is not necessary?
I think actually it is very, very necessary. And I will draw your attention to the fact that very few people have actually commented. Even followers of Asiwaju Tinubu have really kind of, people that you will expect that they will come out to support him have been silent. And I would believe that there are discussions going on in the background. I think the for Nigerians have described as the type of leader they want, I believe he's one person that has the ability to garner support from all geopolitical zones across Nigeria. Not based on only what he has done, but based on the relationships that he's been able to forge, with people across all walks of life. And you need that actually, to be able to govern. You need that goodwill, to be able to execute your vision and your plan, for the country. I honestly think people like Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are elder statesmen. I think he's probably more served, still engaging the grassroots, recruiting, good candidates, and handing over the machinery that he has built, to the next generation, to teach them, how to take it to the next level. I think that really would be a perfect role for Ashwaju. I think to contest, for the presidency would be like a kingmaker trying to arrange his own coronation.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just two more questions, and another side I want to look in on the north side. Some of these politicians in the north that are resisting power shift to the south, when they clearly can see that after an 80-year northern rule, it is only fair for power to shift back to the south for political balance, for equity. Now, coupled with agitation from the southeast, southwest, and all kinds of militancy that you've seen in the south-south, do you not think that these northern leaders are playing a dangerous game that could lead to a breakup of this country? Because I cannot see Nigerians, especially from the south and the middle belt, accepting another Fulani man taking over from Buhari. I mean, it's like what Charles Dickens called a tale of two cities. Whether you like it or not, they exist. Yes. There's a north and there's a south. So don't you think they are playing a dangerous game, the northern leaders?
So I will tell you that they are playing a selfish game. It could become dangerous. And I use the word selfish because I will be honest with you, I don't think any of these leaders want Nigeria to break up. That's the simple and honest truth. But sometimes, people in pursuing their own personal interests can play games that could ultimately become very dangerous to the country. I think, to be very honest, a lot of those leaders are not really serious about, still keeping power to the north, but they want to shout loud enough that it will be considered, even
to be recognized.
Yes, for a vice presidential pick. So mark my words, when this whole thing gets sorted out and the candidates for the two main parties are identified, look at the people that they likely would be considering or might even ultimately pick as their vice presidential candidates. So I think there's a bit of that is what is fueling, these folks, and I will call it a selfish game because they're not really considering the potential impact on the country. They're just looking at their own personal gain.
Thank you very much. Okay, so but anyway, to be fair to the north, nobody from the north, I mean from the real north, apart from Yaya Bello from the Middle Belt and Salaki, who is also from the Middle Belt, nobody actually has declared the north. Even Atiku has not declared. He's still, he's still doing his own work, making clarifications and consultations. So to be fair to them, but the argument that we are hearing now, we still have 4 more years left, and blah blah blah. PDP is different from APC. I think they are playing
4 more years of what?
Yeah, of northern rule. So
okay, one of the things that and this was from a PDP party faithful, who is very adamant that if the presidency doesn't come to the south, he will openly declare for a southern APC candidate.
Yeah, is that Wike who said that? I think one of the PDP leaders said that.
I can't really quite remember his name now, but he was Babangida's speechwriter for
is it Kazim?
Yeah, I think so. And one of the things that he said was that after Atiku's run in 2019 against Buhari, that after the defeat, he was nowhere to be found. And everybody was all looking for, as the leader of a party who was just an election, people put, their energy.
Actually, I understand that if somebody has spent billions of money and then lost an election, I mean, you will be weird out. So, but for him to go away for about 3 years.
Yeah, no, oh yeah, but the point I was trying to make was that when the party faithfuls were expecting, him, to bring everybody together, to congratulate them for at least fighting and, doing a very good job, he was nowhere to be found. And after about a month, that people were looking for him, they found out that, the guy was just, too exhausted because of all of, the going back and forth, and he had to go take a rest abroad. I mean, so this is this person who is actually now coming out against to say that he wants to contest. So Nigerians don't want another president that will be in, foreign hospital for half of his tenure. That's just not going to happen.
And we learned over the weekend that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has gone back to London for treatment. And this somebody wants to contest for presidency. So is this what we are going to put up with for the next 8 years?
So that is why Nigerians have said in this time around, they want a much younger, much healthier candidate that they can relate to. And relate to meaning not somebody who has amassed millions over the years, but somebody who has, who has the same, like an average Nigerian.
Who can connect.
Who can connect.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of candidate Nigerians want. And these two people, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, unfortunately, and Abubakar Atiku, don't fit that profile.
And let me just ask you, now that we have Asiwaju Tinubu and people are rooting for PYO, will you advise for us to have a debate between the two? I mean, let's have your vision. Let's have what you want to offer.
So I think
instead of somebody going about and say, yeah, I was one who brought into prominence, you are my commissioner, you should be loyal to me. No, let's have what is your vision? What do you want to offer us? Let's have we saw in America, before Obama became president, there was a debate for about 9 or 10 other candidates, and then they all dropped off. So we want to hear you talk. What is your vision for Nigeria? What is your vision for Nigerians? How do you want to achieve your visions? What do you want to do? It's just not like I'm the one who's controlling the votes.
Yeah, and I understand, but for that to happen, then it means that PYO also formally has to declare. But even without going into that, we have sound bites that we can listen to. And I would draw your attention to a sound bite or an interview where Asiwaju was asked about the problem of unemployment, and his response was, he would basically draft 50 million Nigerians.
If we go by soundbite, Asiwaju will not be on the good side. So that's why I would have wanted. Let's have a level playing ground.
I would agree. But a full debate would mean that PYO has to formally declare.
He has to declare. He has to. In fact, somebody said he's going to take him to court if he doesn't declare. And I will be very surprised if he does not, because this is the only chance he has to help this generation. It's no longer about him now.
Yes.
It's not about him. It's not about him. It's now about his country, the country that he loves so much. So if he really loves this country, he needs to put himself forward.
So if I will talk to the PYO group, what I would say is that evil will continue if good men sit back and do nothing. If good men do not step forward, what we will continue to get in Nigeria will be candidates that are being recycled, candidates who have failed, who have no good track record, who have allegations that some have been proven.
I call them political Frankensteins.
That's all we'll get. But when good candidates begin to step forward, that will change the debate. That will change this whole scenario. And we can then begin to have very substantive discussions, because we will actually be talking about vision, we will actually be talking about programs, we'll actually be talking about what they will do to bring Nigeria forward. And once that begins, all these things about being political godfathers, all that will get stricken off. It wouldn't matter anymore who your political. I mean, everybody has, someone who brought them into a profession, or who brought them into political life at some point in time. So that's not new. But this is not about somebody's aspiration. It's about Nigeria.
It's about the country. About the country.
And if good people don't elevate that conversation by bringing fresh and good ideas, we will never get to that level. We will always continue to talk about things that we shouldn't even be talking about.
Okay, so just before we close, I just want you to look at the scenario. You are the president of Nigeria. You are President Buhari. You've been there for 80 years. You are a honest man. You did not steal any money, and you have tried your best. And now you want to hand over. What kind of person would you, if you now look at the field and look at all the people who are now pardoning themselves, some of them have been to prison, some of them have been chased around by EFCC, some of them, as Obasanjo said, have stolen money that you could use to feed for 400 people for 300 years. You understand? Some of them have not paid their workers. And they're all there. And you are looking from a rooftop and you want to pass the baton. Who will be your choice?
My choice will be Professor Yemi Osinbajo for many reasons. But that's my own personal preference. And more importantly, because apart from the fact that he's someone that I've followed and I've listened to, and I know he has a vision, he's also someone who, for some reason, is able to bring the country together. That is so crucial to Nigeria at this point in its history. We need a president that can transcend regions, that can transcend zones, and that can actually bring Nigerians together to help build the vision and the plan that he has. A candidate that can elevate our political discourse to a point where we as Nigerians now begin to talk about what people can offer, how people can help the country, not where they come from, not any of those types of tribal or ethnic sentiments. I think Yemi Osinbajo is a candidate that can do that. I mean, he hasn't even declared, and we have different groups within the country already clamoring. And this is not across the geopolitical zones, even across gender. Women.
People are actually spending their own money, to campaign for him. He has not spent his own income. So finally, as we close, I want your social media declaration, and I want you to look into that, into your camera, and talk to Professor Yemi Osinbajo what he needs to do now.
So my word to Professor Yemi Osinbajo is that evil will continue if good men sit back and do nothing. So if candidates like him do not step in the fray, we will continue to get unqualified, mediocre candidates who will keep and continue to recycle themselves and perpetuate themselves in power. We need people who can elevate the political discourse, who have something to offer, who have a vision and can unite the country. And that is why he needs, at this point in time, especially, needs to step up, step forward, and let's get this started.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lalawal, always based in Canada. Thank you for your time today. It's been a very wonderful conversation, and thank you for your strong opinion. So to all our viewers, I want to thank you again for watching. This is, as I said in the beginning, this is Diaspora Panel. My name is Dejolaya, and I want to advise again that you subscribe to our channel so that anytime we make a new video, you will be one of the first to be, to know about it. And if you want to send us an email, please send your emails to info@diasporapanel.com. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Mr. Lawal.